Welcome to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, your trusted source for expert guidance on aging safely and independently. Whether you're a caregiver, a family member, or a senior looking to stay secure at home and beyond, we've got you covered. From fall prevention and home modifications to financial safety and scam awareness, we provide practical tips to help you or your loved ones live with confidence. Tune in and empower yourself with the knowledge you need to navigate the challenges of aging. Let's make safety simple.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. I'm your host, Esther Kane, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that has the power to bring you some peace of mind, not only to older homeowners, but to their families as well. The topic is technology to enhance senior safety. I don't have to tell you, we live in a rapidly evolving world. And while it can feel overwhelming at times, I know I feel overwhelmed, technology really has gifted us with tools that can keep us safe, our loved ones safe, happier, and most importantly, safer and more independent. And isn't that what it's all about? So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these tools, some of these devices, some of the ways that you can incorporate them into your lives to give you a better, easier, safer, and more independent life for as long as possible. And you'll have to excuse my voice, I have a bit of a cold. All right, so let's start with a device that many of us are familiar with, alert systems. Now, when it comes to growing older, many adults and their families immediately think of medical alert devices, and that kind of makes sense. And those are fine, but there are other types of alert devices that I think are just as important. One of them are smoke and carbon monoxide detectors with smart features, and that's the important difference here. These detectors can send alerts directly to your phone or to a family member's phone if they detect smoke or dangerous levels of carbon monoxide. So in other words, you're not the only one that hears the alarm. Someone else, whoever you put in that contact list, also gets alerted. This way, even if you aren't able to hear it or aren't able to respond to it, help can be summoned quickly. Another important alert device is a flood or a leak detector. A friend of mine, her washing machine just flooded her kitchen and her living room area. If she had had a flood detector there, a leak detector there, she would have known way before that water got into her living room, ruined her carpet and her hardwood floors. So these devices are small, they're fairly inexpensive, they're placed near appliances like washing machines, dishwashers, water heaters, and so on. So if a leak is detected, an alert is sent immediately to prevent further water damage, mold growth and all of that. And some of them, of course, are smart enough that they can send information to your cell phone as well. And then there are also motion sensor alert devices that can be installed around the home. I have several in my home, especially upstairs. These sensors alert family members if there's an unexpected movement or a lack of movement during certain times of the day, which can indicate a potential problem. For example, if grandma or your father or mother hasn't moved from their bedroom by the usual time that they do move from their bedroom, a caregiver could receive an alert in order to check in. Security alarms are equipped with sensors on doorways and windows, are also essential for protecting against intrusions, and that's just another alert system. All right, so now we have to talk a little bit about medical alert devices. Now, these, of course, are most appropriate for seniors or anyone with any medical issues who are living alone, who have a history of falling, or if they're managing a chronic health condition that may at some point require medical attention. And if a senior has experienced recent issues with their mobility, or they live in a home where assistance isn't nearby, maybe they live in a rural area or family lives an hour or so away, these devices, medical alert devices, are practical and solution to help ensure that they can get help as soon as possible. Now, these small devices have been around for a while. They've gotten a lot smaller lately, especially there's a product called Invisaware. It's not necessarily a medical alert device, but it is a piece of jewelry that you can wear as a bracelet or a necklace. And it just simply by pushing it, it will alert the people on your contact list. And then they in turn can alert a 911 or get help for you. But the traditional medical alert devices like Life Alert now come with a GPS tracking, automatic fall detection, and even voice activated commands. So for someone who lives alone, this kind of technology can really end up being a lifesaver. I mean, imagine if, an older adult in your family takes a fall while they're home alone. A medical alert device can notify emergency services right away, potentially saving valuable time and even reducing the severity of the injury. So you may think, I know what you're thinking, you may think that a cell phone would be sufficient, but the truth is not everyone carries around a cell phone with them when they're in their home. I mean, how many of us end up walking around looking for the cell phone that we put down somewhere and we can't find it? So if you're not always carrying it on your person, that's very common. And even if you are carrying it, you're carrying it in your hand or it's in a pocket, it's too easy for that cell phone to spin away from you, from your hand or your pocket, if you were to fall. So at that instance, getting to a cell phone may not really be possible. So that's where having something on you, like an alert device, be it Invisaware or a medical alert device, or even a smartwatch that is connected with Bluetooth to your cell phone, as long as you're not too far from the cell phone. That's the only issue with the smartwatch. All right, so let's talk about some smart home devices. So we are so lucky these days to live with so many of these amazing technological devices that can really help to make us feel more secure and safer. Although I have to admit, it takes a while to get used to them. I mean, I know I'm still working on my thermostat that I don't think I know everything that it does, but it does what I need it to do until it stops doing it, and then I have to open up the manual again. All right, so some of the smart home devices that are out there are smart door locks and doorbell cameras, which allow anyone in the house to see who's at the door without having to get up or even to be home. Anyone can connect to these systems, of course, that you allow to connect to the system, and that offers an extra layer of security. So if, God forbid, you end up in the hospital, you can open up the door for someone if they need to go in to get something for you. They don't need a key. And then also the smart locks, where you utilize a code or some type of a device that can open it without having to have a key. Now, other smart home devices that enhance safety are, as I mentioned, smart thermostats. I mean, mine, I have it programmed for all year long. So when the temperature gets below a certain number, then the heat automatically comes on. When the temperature gets above a certain number, then the AC comes on. So honestly, I never have to touch it. And there are all kinds of little apps or adjustments to it. I can monitor it with my cell phone. I can put it on an eco-friendly system. I can activate it so that it only gets activated when someone is actually in the room. If someone is not in the room for a while, then it turns it off completely. There's all kinds of money-saving ways that a smart thermostat can work. I think they're definitely worth it for for every single home, really. Then there's smart plugs and outlets that can be used via your phone, via an Alexa or Google Home device. And you can do all kinds of things like turning off or on and off the coffee maker or a lamp, even your television, anything at all. And this is very useful if you have a two-story home and you're not as mobile as you used to be. You can still get up those stairs, but it's not so easy. So once you do finally get upstairs and you get into bed and you start thinking, did I turn off the coffee pot? If it's not on an automatic timer, did I turn on the hallway light? You don't know. You can pick up your cell phone and you can control these items with your phone. And you can even control your door locks with that as well if you have a smart door lock. Automatic stove shut-off devices, I think, are extremely important for every home. You don't have to be an older adult to have it. I think forgetting to turn off the stove, leaving a pot on the stove, thinking you're going to be right back, but you end up getting a phone call or your neighbor comes to your door before you know it. You've got a burnt pot on the stove top. And they detect, these smart shut-off devices detect when a stove has been left unattended for too long, and they'll shut it off in order to prevent fires or any other damage. I believe the time is automatically set to 30 minutes, and I'm not sure with some of them if you can adjust the time, but I believe they're about 30 minutes. It could be less. Then there's also these amazing things that I'm thinking about getting are smart blinds and window coverings. Now, these can be programmed to open and close at specific times of the day, allowing for natural light and privacy to come in without you having to manually adjust them. I do believe that there are also blinds that will work on a dusk to dawn type of thing, so that once the sun comes out, the blinds will automatically open, and when it gets darker, the blinds will automatically close. I am looking forward to some more technology for those products. We'll see. And then there's these amazing smart beds. My sister just got one of these smart beds, and she loves it. I mean, I don't even know how you can go on vacation once you have one of these beds because they're so comfortable and they make life so much easier, especially if you have back pain or any muscle pain. They can really help. But these smart beds, in addition to being adjustable, can also monitor your sleep pattern. You adjust them so that, they're for optimal comfort. You can raise the feet, you can raise the head, and they have features like to help you get in and out of bed easier. They can also alert a caregiver if you happen to have a caregiver. If a senior, happens to get out of bed during the night when their mobility isn't so good. And this is a great thing for anyone who is living with an older adult who is helping them as they age in place at home. And the last smart home device that I want to talk about are water temperature sensors. Now, these can prevent scalding by, making sure that the water temperature doesn't ever get too hot, which is especially important if you have sensitive skin. There are some illnesses and some medications, I believe, that make it so that you don't realize, you can't sense how hot the water is or maybe how cold it is. You lose that ability. And if you have sensitive skin, which many of us, as we grow older, our skin becomes thinner and thinner, you can easily burn that skin without even knowing that you're doing that. So I think anti-scalding devices are extremely important for showers and sinks, anywhere where you're going to be putting your skin in water. Now, I know that you're probably thinking all of these things are really great. Some of them are automatic, like the anti-scalding device, but some of them seem like they'd be very complicated to use. And it's true, for some older adults, it can be. My mom-in-law was never able to, command Alexa. She kept forgetting to use the word Alexa, so it didn't help her in any way. So I understand that. A lot of these tools aren't to the point where they're as user friendly as we would like them to be. But if you start using them when you are younger and move with them as you grow older, it's definitely a wonderful thing. And the more, for some older adults, the more you use them, the better. That's why I tend to gift a lot of tech devices to my older relatives, trying to get them to start using them, in any way that they can, especially Alexa. I do gift Alexa devices quite a bit. All right. So I think using tools like Alexa and Google Home are one of the easiest ways to begin introducing tech into anyone's home, because they tend to use them for, getting today's news, getting today's weather. They start learning to use them for music, answering questions, things like that. So I think that's an easy way to introduce technology into someone's home who may not be too keen on the idea. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the issue that happens to a lot of older adults, especially if they're living alone, is the issue of isolation and loneliness. I know during COVID, I live alone, and during COVID, that after a year or a year and a half or so, it really started getting to me because it definitely was very isolating. So I used, as much as I possibly could, I used the Zoom, FaceTime, Alexa's Echo Show, anything at all, tablets, anything at all that I could to keep connected with my relatives, with my friends. Obviously, it's not the same as being with them, but it's certainly better than having absolutely no connection at all and being completely isolated. So using technology for these types of instances is extremely important. And I would even say it's important to begin using the telehealth services that many of our insurance providers are providing. I use Kaiser, and they have a wonderful system of telehealth that I can access any time of the day, pretty much. And I love that because no matter what is happening, I can contact someone via telehealth and not have to schlep down, as they say in South Florida, not have to go down to the physician's office and wait, make an appointment, and so on and so on and so on, especially if I want something right that day. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about are these amazing smartwatches that they do so much more now than what they used to. And it's not even a watch. They're even calling them health monitoring devices. And they're incorporating them into a lot of smartwatches, but there's a lot of additional tools as well. There are blood pressure monitoring devices that can help keep track of your blood pressure levels in real time. And that's particularly helpful if you are managing low blood pressure, like myself. I know that there are times I get so dizzy, I have to get a glass of salt water in order to raise my blood pressure. But I would like to be alerted before that happens so that I know to get that before I have to suffer feeling dizzy and nauseous. So blood pressure monitoring devices are wonderful. Continuous glucose monitoring devices, those are fairly new, that can measure blood sugar levels in real time. Now, these are certainly very helpful for seniors managing diabetes, letting you know if your blood sugar is too high or too low, and it reduces the need for having to constantly finger prick, do the finger prick tests, which of course you still need to do, I believe. Many of these watches can monitor heart rates, measure blood oxygen levels even. There's so many tools out there that can do all of these things. So even if it's not on a watch, you can have a lot of these tools, blood pressure tools, oxygen, saturation tools. I used a lot of those tools with my mother when she was ill. And there are even wearable ECG devices that can send heart data to healthcare providers in real time. So if you're managing a chronic heart condition, that may be a very useful thing for you. Obviously, you want to check with your physician, healthcare providers, your healthcare insurance company to see what devices they offer, they have available, and maybe what devices they're thinking of adding into their, you know, array of devices. And if they're not, that may give you impetus to think about switching over to another healthcare provider that may be more progressive and may help you with your healthcare needs in the future. All right, so I want to emphasize that while technology is incredibly amazing, and it's only going to become more so because it's just growing exponentially, it's obviously only effective when it's combined with human touch. So the goal of all these tools is to help older adults and family members to maintain their independence and to give everyone a peace of mind, sense of safety. But the idea is to maintain your independence for as long as you possibly can. So whether it's you're using a simple video call or a health monitor or technology to make life safer and easier at home, the love and care of family and friends is still very important. Technology has not yet replaced that, but it can certainly make your life easier, safer, and that's what it's all about at Senior Safety Advice. All right, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss our next episode. And until next time, stay safe, stay connected, and thrive in place. See you then.
That's it for today's episode of the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, helping you and your loved ones stay safe, independent, and informed. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with others who could benefit. For more expert tips and resources, visit seniorsafetyadvice.com. And remember, staying safe starts with staying informed. Until next time, take care and stay safe.